he had forced himself to have sex with me, and that's the only reason why he wanted to continue our marriage or our relationship. I did not want to have to tell anybody. He had threatened to kill my family. I did not want him to say all of this, but I know I have to. I have to because he was getting worse because I was trying to make him stop, and he wouldn't stop. Even if I said no, he was still going to come. And if I didn't do what he said, he was going to kill both of my grandmas and leave me alive to suffer and not kill me because he knew that would kill me.
2021 CR 1005W, State of Texas versus David Edward Hernandez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Michael Villarreal for the state.
For the defense?
Raymond Matthews.
And are you Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, ma'am.
Show you a document entitled Motion to Enter Adjudication of Guilt and Revoke Community Supervision. Did you review that document with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you the same David Edward Hernandez who was placed on deferred adjudication in 2021 CR 1005W for the offense of assault family second on February 3rd, 2021 for a period of 3 years? Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, state.
Violated condition number 1, on or about the 9th day of February 2022 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant David Edward Hernandez committed the offense of violation of bond or protective order in violation of condition number 1.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
It's true.
State.
Violated condition number 21, on or about the 9th day of February 2022 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant David Edward Hernandez did then and there contact or attempt to contact Savannah Hernandez or a family member by telephone, mail, or in person in violation of condition number 21.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
That is true, Your Honor.
Did you understand by pleading true to violations of conditions 1 and 21, the court could find it true, grant the motion, find you guilty, and sentence you up to 10 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine?
Yes, Your Honor.
Knowing that, do you still wish to plead true to violation of conditions 1 and 21?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, is there an agreement?
No, Your Honor.
All right, state, what are you requesting?
State is asking for revocation in this case, Your Honor. This is a case where he's been placed on probation for a violent offense against a previous girlfriend, that being the person listed in violation of condition number 21, Savannah Hernandez, which, as you can see, linking up condition number 1 and condition number 21, this is the same person he's on probation for. He's not supposed to be contacting. The same person sitting in this courtroom today. Because, obviously up until the day we were set for contested. We're asking for revocation in the sense that you just can't leave this person alone. And at this point, the state feels that in order to secure the safety of the victim, we're asking for revocation because hopefully prison will be the impediment at this point because probation wasn't enough for the defendant to stop contacting Savannah.
All right, defense.
Judge, Mr. Hernandez is actually Mr. Hernandez's ex-wife. They just finalized a divorce in February or March of this year. The evidence that we would have presented today, Judge, and we still have witnesses in the court that could present, is that these parties have engaged in a consensual conduct with each other on an ongoing basis, even since the protective order was granted, because they were legally married. We've shared with the state text messaging back and forth, phone calls, Facebook posts. But Mr. Hernandez ultimately decided to plead true because I've made it clear to him that regardless of whether she consents or does not, regardless of whether she invites him to her house or not, that he's not allowed by law to do that. And so instead of spending the court's time defending why he was having contact with her, he decided to plead true and explain to the court that's what was happening. There was a period of time between the time the protective order was granted and the time the divorce was granted this year, which is about a year, that there was discussions and attempts made at reconciliation. And again, Judge, he clearly understands after much consultation with me that she cannot waive the effects of the protective order. She cannot voluntarily agree with him that it doesn't apply anymore. And so all that's crystal clear at this point, Judge. As a matter of fact, we've shared with the state that on the date in question when Mr. Hernandez was arrested for the MTR that was issued by the court, that they were in the same car together. That in fact, she drove his car home or wherever she took it after they separated. I think she now understands that her conduct in that regard is also placing him in danger. Judge, he spent some days in jail on the motion to revoke probation. As you can see from the motion itself, these are the only violations he has in over a year on probation.
So what the court doesn't understand is I know on the document sheet, which I wrote, I said, no contact with Savannah Hernandez. And I know when I place people on probation and there's no contact, I always tell them that relationship is over. What part did your client not understand when I said that relationship is over? That's what I don't understand, because I tell people your relationship is over. Get an orchid because you're not ready for a relationship. So I'm trying to figure out what part of my order that he was not to have contact with her did he not understand?
I think the part he did not understand, Judge, is when she invites him to her house, when she says she's not ready to get a divorce, when she responds to communications that is not an exception to the orders of the court. And the reason we're set for contested hearing today, the reason we reset this matter a couple of times, is me going through all of the history and explaining all that to him, that none of that is a legal significance to this court. And thus his decision that I'm going to plead true, because I get it.
Well, somebody probably, if there should be a witness that's called before the court so that I can discover why there is being contact when I order no contact. And the court would like to know if both, if the complainant, and I don't have any jurisdiction over the complainant, but I would like to know if the complainant was okay with this defendant violating this court's orders by, you said, being in the car with him, trying to make their marriage work. I would like to know this before I make my ruling.
I certainly can't speak for her, Judge. All I can tell you.
Well, someone needs to call a witness so I can make an informed decision.
I would be happy to do that, Judge.
She's here,
All right.
so she can testify.
Yeah, I would like to know what's going on and why the court's orders are not being followed and why adults can't understand what I mean when I say a relationship is over and there should be no contact.
Would you, and the state can call her as a witness, and say, we'll call Savannah. Do you want her to testify here?
Yeah, she can move over there, and Mr. Hernandez, if you'll go to the back, please.
And the state would call, for purpose of the record, Savannah Hernandez, previously known as Savannah Hernandez.
All right, if you could raise your right hand for me, please. Do you solemnly swear affirming the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes,
All right, you can lower your hand if you'll state your name for the record.
Savannah Hernandez.
All right.
Ms. Hernandez, as far as your contact and your communications with David are concerned, were those consensual interactions?
I apologize to that I might lose my composure. The entire marriage was him making the decisions and me submitting to everything and anything that he said. So the meeting may have been okay. Let's go sign the divorce papers so we can get this over. But when I asked him to leave, he wouldn't leave. And almost every encounter was just for his gratification.
Did you, after he was placed on probation, did you intend or did you wish to have further communications with him?
No.
And were there times or periods of time where he would repeatedly call you?
Yes.
And just by example, how many times in a row would he call you and you wouldn't answer?
A minimum of 30 if I was at work or driving.
And would he continue to call you until you answered the phone?
Yes.
And again, this is all after he was placed on probation in this court.
Correct.
And the contacts that you had with him, whether that be via text message, social media, in person, or by phone, did you feel that you had a choice in whether you had to communicate with him or not?
No,
And why is that?
because even if I said no, he was still gonna come. His threats to me were real.
I'll pass it.
Defense?
Ms. Jimenez, you're aware that the allegation is that he made contact on February the 9th of this year, is that correct?
Yes.
Isn't it true that what caused that to come to light was that he had a picture of himself sitting in your living room in your apartment?
I did not see any picture.
Okay. And he sent that picture to a person that you were in a relationship with, and that's what caused the fuss. Is that fair or no?
No.
So you had to have reported the violation, or we wouldn't know about it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So on February the 8th of this year, was Mr. Hernandez sitting in your living room, and he has a picture of the two of you sitting in your living room.
The picture I did not know was taken. I did not give consent for him to take a picture of me or to send it to anybody, which he sent it to at least a minimum of 8 people. And it was because he had already finished his gratification. And he was sitting there, and I had asked him to leave repeatedly, and he wouldn't. I have to threaten him every time with calling the cops. I did not want him to go to jail, but he doesn't comprehend it. That's the only thing that I can think of. And his mindset is I was just property. And I'm not going to...
Now, Ms. Jimenez, we're talking about your apartment, correct?
Yes.
So he can only get in there if you let him in, correct?
Yes. Every time he came, it was just banging until he came. And the only time that he did leave was when I called the cops, because he saw me calling 911, and I was standing in front of the window when he left.
But we don't have a police report from this incident you claim, correct?
That happened on the same day.
So you're saying that you can't, while he's locked out and can't get inside the apartment, you can't call the police and have them remove him?
I did. That's why he left. That's the only time that he left.
Now, in reference to the text messages, we've shared with the state, and the state shared with you printouts of text messages, very many text messages. True or not true? Very many.
I did not see, but yes, I saw some paperwork.
So tell us how he's forcing you to respond to text messages.
Because he told me that if I didn't do what he said, he was gonna kill both of my grandmas and leave me alive to suffer and not kill me, because he knew that would kill me.
And Ms. Jimenez, when have you shared that particular story with anybody?
I didn't want to have to share any of these stories. I did not want to have to tell people that he had forced himself to have sex with me. That's the only reason why he wanted to continue our marriage or our relationship. I did not want to have to tell anybody. He had threatened to kill my family. I did not want him to say all of this, but I know I have to. I have to, because he was getting worse, because I was trying to make him stop, and he wouldn't stop. He's already taken so much. He was going to try to take my job and show my family pictures of me being indecent. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Do you need a minute, or do you think you can continue?
No, I can continue.
I mean, on the last date that Mr. Hernandez was arrested, you were in the car with him, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
You guys were going on base, Lackland Air Force Base, where he has to show ID and go through security guards.
That is correct, yes.
And when they arrested him that day, you left in his vehicle, didn't you?
Yes, I did. He asked me to.
Okay. And not only did you leave in his vehicle, but you had his wallet with you, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you proceeded to use his debit cards and his credit cards.
That is correct.
Okay. And so, man, that you're so deathly afraid of, it didn't stop you from taking money out of his accounts.
That is correct.
Now, was I accurate that the divorce between the two of you just got finalized a few months ago?
In March, yes, before the date that you're talking about.
And in fact, you not only did he come into your apartment, but there were occasions where you drove over to his house of your own volition.
I did not have a vehicle. No.
So the only time you drove to his house was when you had his vehicle.
When he picked me up. Yes.
But you see, my point is that you could have told those security guards at the front gate as you're going in that you were being held against your will, or that you were being kidnapped, or anything of the sort.
I only agreed to it because I knew that would happen. I needed help.
And you agree with me that none of these things that you're sharing, a lot of these things you're sharing with the court today, do not appear in any police report because you never made those.
No, I never did.
Just a few questions. As far as when Mr. Martinez was talking about using the debit cards and the credit cards after he was arrested, trying to enter Lackland Air Force, Lackland Air Force Base. Can you explain to the court why you used his debit cards or credit cards?
Yes. We had already made plans to go to the bowling alley and to go to the movie theater. And every decision since day one has been decisions that he's made. Never have I once been on his bank account. I have never had a debit card in my name. My both jobs were direct deposited into his bank account. So I never had any money. This was our typical form of me being access to his money, is using his card. I never had anything in my name. No decisions were made of my own choice. It was whatever he said.
Okay. And specifically, you said your divorce was not finalized until March of this year.
Yes.
Around February 19th of 2022 to this year, were your money still being deposited into his accounts?
All of my money had always gone to his account for both of them. The checking account was only his VA compensation, and my money was going to his savings account. We had my checks going into his account, and what we had decided or spoken about, the main reason how he was able to allow me to temporarily trust him was to get this divorce finalized, was that reason for everything to stop. I didn't know how to make it stop.
Okay. But as far as February 19th of 2022 is concerned, at that point you were in divorce proceedings, correct?
Yes.
And so is there a reason you didn't have your money deposited to a separate account to use?
For the accounts, I did set up a chime in my name. It had been just taking maybe 4 paycheck cycles for that change to go over. So we had agreed that he would keep the house because he had nowhere else to go. And I said that was fine. And it had initially started because he had a relationship with another woman. And I had said, okay,
I'm going to be the bigger person and let her stay there as long as she pays half of the mortgage. And he said, my lawyer said that I have to financially support you until it is final and over. Whether that's a true statement or not, I'm not sure, but that's what he had informed me of. So that's the only reason why I continue to use his card like I had been before for the whole entire relationship.
I'll pass.
Ms. Jimenez, I thought you and Mr. Hernandez worked out the divorce by yourselves without the benefit of any lawyers.
He used your name all the time. I'm not sure if he paid for anybody or not.
Well, would you agree there's no lawyers' names that appear in the divorce?
That is correct.
So if we were to look at the bank statements that we provided to the state, we're going to find your deposits going in there and you regularly using those cards. That's contact information.
There's no way for anybody to know whether I swiped it or whether he swiped it, but yes, typically I had no other access to my funding. There was no card in my name. So I'm not sure how you want me to answer that question, but yes, that's the typical. I didn't have any card to use that was in my name to pay any of the bills or to buy stuff at HEB. So yes, that's how I would pay for things.
Would you agree with me, Ms. Jimenez, that one of the things that you charged on the card when Mr. Hernandez was in jail was a dinner at a restaurant for over $100?
No. I went to Burger King. I went to the movies. I had popcorn there. I went to HEB. I went to a Mexican restaurant. I did not have a fancy, extravagant, romantic dinner with another party. No, there's no extravagant restaurant.
That's what
I know.
All right, thank you for coming to testify.
Thank you.
All right, unless there are other witnesses, the court will hear. I heard argument where you want revocation
Yes, Judge.
and you want him to be continued.
we do judge with whatever modifications the court feels are appropriate. And
Does your client wish to say anything?
say it again.
Does your client wish to say anything?
I was going to just say that, Judge. You might want to address a couple of these things. Yes.
Yes, Your Honor. We were trying to reconcile over the time between.
Excuse me, wait, you haven't been sworn in.
Yes,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
All right, could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
David Hernandez.
Mr. Hernandez, before we talk about that, I just want to address the last thing that we talked about. Was Ms. Jimenez being truthful with the court when she says that she had ready access to all your cards at all times?
All of my.
All your credit cards and debit cards?
That is not true.
Did she routinely, consistently, over the period of time that y'all were together, deposit her paychecks into your accounts?
That is not true.
So the bank statements we provided to the state, are we going to see any deposits from her paychecks?
There are no deposits of her paychecks on any of my bank statements I've provided.
And the last question I asked her about relatively large amount of money being charged at a restaurant while you were in the jail. What specifically was that?
There was one amount over $140 or $150 that was to a Mexican restaurant that I'd never even been to. And it was a huge charge. I've never even been there before.
And more importantly, Mr. Hernandez, on the date that charge was made, were you in custody or not?
I was in custody during that day.
How was it that she had your wallet?
I had left it in my truck when we were picked up at Lackland Air Force Base, and it was just, I didn't know if she knew it was there or not, but she found it. And we were on our way to go bowling and movies. So, I mean, it was in the vehicle.
Mr. Hernandez, has there been contact between you and Ms. Jimenez since the divorce has been finalized?
No contact.
Phone, email, text, social media, anything?
No social media, no phone, no text or anything.
Did I state accurately your position that you understand that regardless of why and how these contacts occurred during the time you were still legally married to Ms. Jimenez, that you're prohibited from doing that by the court order as well as the protective order.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Do you understand that you're prohibited from doing that by court order and by protective order, regardless of whether she consents to the contact or not?
Yes.
So for that reason, and because the two of you have now gone your separate ways permanently, are you asking the court to continue your probation?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm asking the court to continue my probation. We have gone our separate ways. It is over and done with. Do not, we don't have any children together. We don't have any property that we have an agreed to the divorce together. We will be selling the house. We will both be selling the house through a realtor coming up soon. And all of that has already been in order, and there's been no contact since the 19th of February. There's been no contact or anything. And I understand I was wrong. And I understand I went against your word. And now I know that how serious and possible, damaging it is to me. And I understand now, Your Honor.
Mr. Nez, is there a reason why you guys weren't at Lackman and you have a military ID? Why do you have that?
Your Honor, I'm a 100% disabled veteran with post-traumatic stress disorder. And I see my therapist every 2 weeks. And I have regular appointments with my therapist. And I'm in therapy with the VA. And that's the reason why I cannot work, because of panic attacks and because of stress and anxiety to the point to where 3 different doctors have diagnosed me at 100%. That's the reason why I had my veterans benefit card and that day to go bowling that day.
And you also understand, Mr. Nez, that the court has the option to modify your conditions of probation in whatever form the court feels is appropriate.
Absolutely. Yes, I understand that. Yes.
Do you have children, not with Ms. Jimenez, but with somebody else?
Yes, I do. I have 4 children. One is in his final 2 years of high school. I do pay child support for him, and I do help out with the school and with his band boosters and his ROTC boosters.
Are the other children and the adults, are they also somewhat financially dependent on you?
Yes, they are. I help take care of my grandson, and I help with things like as far as clothing and food and things like that with my grandson. And my oldest son is trained to become an EMT, and my daughter is a medical assistant. And my third child, he's dependent on me because he has a lower paying job, but he's trying to make his rent and everything. He's trying to live on his own, but I'm financially helping him out with my compensation money.
As far as your prior record, Mr. Hernandez, you had a prior for family violence assault in 2008. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Was that a probation case as well?
Yes, it was.
Did you complete that probation successfully?
Yes, I did. Yes.
And since then you got this case a little over a year ago.
Yes.
Is that the entirety of your criminal record?
Yes, it is.
There's no other charges here or in any other county?
No other county. No.
That's what it's just.
State?
Mr. Hernandez, so you talked about specifically violating this court's order, but you were aware that there was a protective order in place as well, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 1, the agreed protective order. That's you, David E. Hernandez, right?
Yes.
Okay. And again, this protective order, which was agreed, under it, you are prohibited from having any contact, right? Under subsection C.
Yes.
Okay. This doesn't tell Savannah to do anything, right? This tells you to do something, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Was your phone number 210-573-9345?
Yes.
Okay. And your email address was spqrdh@gmail.com?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So you'd also agree that not only did you communicate with her via text message, you also communicated with Savannah over emails, right?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, you sent her numerous emails.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 3. That's that same email address that you said is yours, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you email her to call me right now. I'm coming over tonight soon, right?
Yes,
Okay. Why did you email her that?
because she had wanted me to go over earlier, and then she changed her mind. So I said, why, I was like, why did you change your mind? Call me now. I'm coming over soon.
Oh, so even her changing your mind, you're still going to come over tonight.
Apparently that's what I wrote.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to show you what Marker States Exhibit number 4. Again, that's that same email address that's yours, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so you emailed Savannah on Sunday, February 13th. Since you don't want to talk to me, that's fine. I will just leave your part blank. You already signed the waiver, so whatever the judge sees that I wrote down is what he's going to go by. Since you don't want to call me or talk to me or make a plan to sign any paperwork because you just get so mad all the time, then it's going to cost you in the long run. Thank you for the house. If I sell it, I'll get in contact with you. If not, I'll just let it go to foreclosure and ruin your credit. It don't matter to me anymore, right?
I was talking about the sale of the house because she agreed to that we're going to go and sell it together. And then she didn't want to answer about, we were trying to make a plan on how to sell it and how we're going to divide it and things like that.
Right. But that first line you said, since you don't want to talk to me, right?
About the sale of the house.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So clearly she didn't want to talk to you, but you still wanted to communicate with her.
How else are we going to be able to sell the house? I mean,
Even though you know that there's that, what I showed you states exhibit number 1, you're not supposed to contact her at all.
yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as states exhibit number 5. You can see again, it's all you, D. Hernandez, right? And this is just kind of a snippet. Did you contact her about work, about USA? I'm messaging your work, sending them your pics.
I don't remember saying that, but apparently that's my email. So.
Okay. Somebody else using your email?
No one's using that.
Okay. And then later that day, I'm kind of come over tonight. Previous to that, yes, I'm jealous. Right? All you. Sorry. Show you what's together. States exhibit number 6. Again, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 emails, right?
Yes.
All your same email address, D. Hernandez, right?
Yes.
Okay. Specifically, at 3:54 p.m., Jesus Christ, I'm trying. I do love you. Answer me. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Was she not answering you?
I guess not.
What? Are you calling her?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Maybe it's response to him trying to email her.
Okay. And that was just for clarity purposes. Brevity, states exhibits 7 and 8. Right. You can agree, with the exception of this top one right here, which is yieldstreet.com. These are all from you.
Yes. We were mostly talking about going out to dinner and breakfast and things like that.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to admit states exhibits 1 through 8, which are just the exhibits that we just went through with the defendant.
Any objection?
Judge, unless it's established that they're during the time period under which the particular order is in place, then they're not relevant.
Your Honor, it's all our honor about, and most of these are
Did you
specific.
have a chance to see the exhibits, Mr. Hernandez?
Not that-
Okay.
Judge, I would renew my objection that there's nothing on the document itself that suggests it's during the period of time in which the particular order was in place.
All right. State's exhibits 1 through 8 are admitted.
Judge Kennedy.
All right. Any further questions?
Can you remind me what your testimony concerning your criminal history was again? You said you had 1 prior ABI assault case.
Yes, in 2008,
And then what else did you say was your criminal history?
2020.
And what was that?
It was the assault, violent injury, family domestic violence, November 2020.
Those are the only 2 things you've ever been arrested for?
In 1995, it was a domestic, and it wasn't domestic, it was a assault, violent injury.
Do you remember in 2008, you also had a violation of protective order? In 2000, you pled to that and you were sentenced 16 days in 2009?
Yes,
Okay.
and dismissed.
So you were sentenced to, you were sentenced to 16 days in jail for that case.
Spent 16 days in jail, but it was for a violation of protective order, but it was, all of them were, it was dismissed.
It was dismissed, but you went to jail for it?
Your representative on that. It was an she kept going over and over and over again. Okay.
And then in 2009, you also got 18 months of probation for a violation of protective order, right?
So,
And then also in 2009, you had 16 days for a harassment case.
yes.
Okay. So that's your true full criminal history, right?
Yes.
I'll pass the rest.
All right, Vince?
So, Mr. Hernandez, you, in response to the state's question, you said, yes, I'm jealous. Is that in response to a question from her asking if you were jealous?
I believe so.
So can you think of any other reason why you would have told her that in the way that you did, other than her asking you that question?
Because she told me that she had already met somebody else, and even though we were still married, just asked if, does that make you jealous because I met somebody else? And I just said something like, yes, I'm jealous.
Now, did she sometimes, without prompting from you, send you emails of that sort?
Sometimes, yes.
And that's what you're responding to in that particular response?
Yes.
Okay. And so when she portrayed herself as being basically in a no-win situation with you and no way to find a way out, she in fact has a good while back started a relationship with somebody else.
Yes.
And didn't hide that from you.
No.
Matter of fact, told you about it and told you who he was.
Yes.
Okay. And that's the same person who stood here and said she was deathly afraid of you. At least that's what I heard.
Yes.
That's all right, Judge.
Oh, I do have a question. What is this about sending pics to work? I don't understand that. I think that was a question, and it was asked, yes. So what is the sending pics to work about?
I
And
didn't
I don't
have
know if
any,
anyone wants to follow up on that.
Well, I will, Judge. So, Mr. Hernandez, you've heard, not necessarily through this hearing, but before we started this hearing, that she's worried that you might have pictures and or videos of her that she would not want to be shared with other people.
that's correct.
Do you have any such type materials?
No, I do not.
Was there a time in the past where she shared intimate information through either video or phone, or pictures with you?
Yes, there was a time.
Okay. And what did you do with that material?
I deleted them. Any kind of material like that, any kind of material that was revealing or anything like that, I deleted them. I didn't keep any of that stuff.
But my question is, because the state asked him about, I guess, an email or a text message where he said he was sending pics to her work. So I'm just trying to figure out what pics are we talking about? Because he said, yes, I did say that. So what pics are we talking about that are being sent to her work?
I did say that, but there was no pics that I sent. I did say that in the email, but I did not. It was just something that I told her to make her think, I guess, that I was going to send it, but there was nothing I had.
Why?
Just, I guess, angry over the jealousy.
And what pics?
Sorry,
What pics?
I have no pics.
No, I mean, what pics did you want her to think that you had that you were going to see
The
in her
old-
job?
Some old pics or videos that she had sent me a long time ago before, but I even told her and explained to her that I don't have them. So when I said it again, she should have just, she shouldn't have known, but I mean, she didn't send me anything updated or anything. So I'd gotten rid of them, but I guess I wanted her to think that I still had them, but I didn't have them. And I was not going to send anything like that to her employer or employment.
And just to make very clear about that, Mr. Hernandez, have you sent those pictures to anybody, ever?
No,
So the only person who ever saw what she sent you was yourself.
correct.
And those items no longer exist.
They no longer exist.
Do you even have the phone or device in which you had them originally
No.
with you anymore?
Mm-mm, no.
And what about the photo on the couch that was brought up?
Judge, that's just a generic photo of somebody watching TV on the couch. There's nothing.
No, I mean, who did that pic get sent to? I guess you all questioned.
She testified that was her new boyfriend.
Okay. So he sent a photo of himself on the couch with her to the new boyfriend. Is that what I'm to understand?
Well, to show that they weren't necessarily together. In the picture, it doesn't show them together. It just shows that they're both in the same apartment.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else?
I have no other questions.
All right. Any other argument?
Just one last thing for Mr. Hernandez. Mr. Hernandez, you talked about your disability rating from the Veterans Administration, correct?
Yes.
And had you previously provided that information to me in terms of the entire report from the doctor?
Yes.
And in the past, had you applied to the Veterans Treatment Court as part of your legal issues revolving around this particular case?
Yes, I have.
But for some reason, they decided not to accept you, and it's when you stayed in this court.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. So I'm going to find the defendant guilty. The only issue is whether I'm going to send him to prison or he's going to be on probation. And so if you all will give me a moment just to think about that, but if you could take a seat in the box. Look back on the record in 2021 CR 1005W, State of Texas versus David Edward Hernandez. As previously stated, the court is granting the motion. The court is finding me guilty. There's an affirmative finding of family violence. The only question is whether or not I will grant you community supervision or whether or not I will send you to prison. Okay. Does anyone wish to speak with regards to that? State, I know you're asking for prison.
Yes, Judge. And I think it's just based on exactly the testimony you heard from the victim here today, as well as the exhibits that are in front of you. I think that the defendant tries to characterize this as that this is some mutual, consensual back and forth. But I think you can see from just, I know you've been a judge, you've been a defense attorney, but you're also a human being. You can just see from it's clear from the messages that he's doing whatever he can to get in contact with this woman. And he knows that he's not supposed to, not just from this court's order, but from a protective order. And so clearly probation, whether that's deferred or whether that's straight probation, is not enough of an impediment to prevent him from communicating with the victim in this case. And so prison is really the only next solution. And so there are other steps that we can take to protect this victim if the defendant is in custody with TDC, and ensure that he has no communication with this victim. Further probation is just going to prolong the issue of him continually contacting her, and not just contacting her, but contacting her and harassing him.
Right. So part of the court's quandary is that I've done a lot of family violence cases before as a defense attorney and as a prosecutor, and I do understand the circle of violence. I understand that. part of the problem and what I'm wrestling with is the fact that she made contact with him. And I understand the mental issues and reasons behind that. But then I do know, the other problem I have, because I know that happens, I do know that I inform everyone when I have a no contact order that your relationship is over. And I don't understand what people don't understand when I say this relationship is over. And I'm sure if I got the court reporter to pull the record, I'm sure I asked you something along the lines of, do you have any children together? And your answer would have been no. And I would have said, well, this is going to be easy. Your relationship is over. You don't have any contact with her. And I'm sure I told you that you should probably not be involved in a relationship. And I'm sure I said not to make light of things, but get an orchid. Did I give you the orchid speech?
I think you did, Connor. Yes.
And the orchid speech didn't do any good.
May I, Judge?
Yes.
I think all of those points have been made and reinforced with Mr. Hernandez many times before we got up here. But if you look at it, during that entire period of time, when he claims they were either reconciled or not trying to reconcile, there's not one incident of violence. He never went to her job. He never caused her any harm over there.
But my concern is he reached out to her and I told him there was to be no contact. I could understand if there's contact because they're in a civil court. I can even understand if there's contact because they're trying to sell a home. I understand those things. Sometimes people are like, oh, but I really need to sell this home and we're trying to finalize our divorce. I understand that. But the contact that he's having with her is outside the bounds of, I'm in civil court, we're trying to finalize this divorce, or I'm trying to sell this home.
And Judge, we're certainly not here trying to suggest to the court that there should be no consequence to that. We understand there's consequences. And there's a whole array of things and options the court has available to deal some consequences. But what I think is also enlightening, judges, they did this divorce between themselves, by themselves, without any lawyers, regardless of whether my name got mentioned or not. Was not involved whatsoever. Since that divorce has happened, and this is several months ago, there hasn't been any contact. And so it is clear to him at this point. It took a while, but it is clear now. So we're asking the court to impose a sanction, impose a consequence, to keep vigilance on him, extend the amount of time if necessary on the probation. And there's monitoring, there's increased reporting, there's all kinds of things that are available. I don't think we ever once heard from this complainant that she called his probation officer and said, oh, by this way, he keeps calling me, or he's insisting on a relationship and I don't really want one. The fastest thing to get that to stop would have been a call to the probation officer.
But does she really have a duty to do that?
No, she doesn't have one,
Yes,
Judge.
it's on him.
It goes to the credibility, especially when you hear of some of the other things that she said. She wasn't afraid to go take his cards and go spend $150 in the restaurant while he was sitting in the jail. So I think somewhat disingenuous, some of her comments. She doesn't have any qualms about rubbing in his face, oh, I've got somebody else now. How does that make you feel? You know, we saw one side of the conversation. We didn't see the state offer into evidence her part of the conversation. So not making light of it, Judge, not trying to minimize. I'm just suggesting that the court has available sanctions and remedies that will protect this person to the extent that she needs to be protected, that don't necessarily have to involve prison. In light of his circumstances with his family and his personal health and all the other things, I don't see that the court would be taking a big risk in putting more restraints on him and proceeding that way.
Oh, this is what the court is going to do. I previously said I found him guilty. I found him guilty. I'm going to issue a judge's warrant, and we're going to bring this back tomorrow, and tomorrow I'll make my decision. So we'll bring it back at 9 a.m. because I really want to just review everything. And my goal is always to make a just decision and make sure that the complainant has no concerns that he's out walking around. So what we're going to do is he's going to be taken into custody on the judge's warrant. I found him guilty, and we're going to bring him back tomorrow. And tomorrow at 9 a.m., I will make my decision on whether or not to send him to prison or whether or not to granted probation. In between now and then, tonight, you need to think over what you've done. You
Yes, ma'am.
understand?
Absolutely not. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Ms. are you able to bring this back tomorrow? And I'm not, if not, you can't. If not, that's okay.
Well, I could request it, but they're short-handed, so we're
Okay.
gonna like.
All right, so they're shorthanded, so we're gonna have to bring you back on Thursday. That'll give you more time to think. Excuse me, Mr. Villarreal,
Yes, ma'am.
we're gonna have to bring him back on Thursday,
Yes, Judge.
because Wednesday we have all-day jury trial. And since we are outside the time frame for us to argue